So we're going to now switch gears into sex in marriage, right? Another thing that people don't really talk about. It's like this taboo topic, you know. And I love that as my friend, you have made these kinds of conversations natural and normal and essential, right? So I want to pick your brain about the bonds that we spoke about last time, right? And my thinking process in this is that before marriage, the devil is tempting us to have sex before marriage and create all these bonds with all these random people, right? And then when we get married, now the bond is just supposed to be with this one person that God has given you.
Yes.
And I've heard even, our pastors at church say things like sex is the glue for marriage.
Yes.
It keeps you connected with your partner. It keeps you going back to them. It keeps you forgiving them. It keeps you, it's literally the glue that just keeps you together all those years that you are supposed to live this life with this person, right? But the funny thing is, once you cross that threshold into marriage, the temptation from the devil is now, do not engage in sex with your spouse. And there's all these things that come up of, oh no, it's not as fun, or it's boring, I'm tired, I'm this, and maybe even challenges with creating intimacy in other areas. So emotional intimacy, maybe financial intimacy, and all those now become roadblocks to you enjoying the sex that God designed for you to enjoy in marriage. So in your experience, what do you tell couples in that regard as you are preparing them for their wedding day and also after they're married, if they come to you as a married couple? What are some key things that you would tell couples about that bond, the significance of that bond in sex in marriage?
Okay. Before the significance, I want to talk about how I wish that every counselor would advise couples to be intentional about their sex life.
Yeah.
Because when you're intentional, financial challenges won't affect you. No other challenges will affect you. If you tell yourselves, okay, for example, sex 4 times a week, it's going to happen. Even when you're upset, you're going to have to mend in order to, yes. So you really have to be intentional about having sex. If you do that, the bond is going to naturally be there. You cannot, like you said for in our last session, for the bond for people who are not married, they have sex and they create bonds. And for us who are married, when we have challenges even with the bond and with our intimacy. And the sexual intimacy in marriage is only supposed to be with one person. It cannot be with many other people because that breaks the whole intention that God made it for, that God designed it for. So they have to be intentional. They have to be intentional about the way they communicate, for starters. If it's a bye-bye, they're a working couple, and then they have to be intentional about how they talk to each other
throughout the day.
Yes, romance and all. Because for us ladies, it's not a hi, come. It has to start with you're looking good.
Babe.
Who are you with? Who, that kind of thing. And like, oh, how was your day? Just like the whole day someone was quiet. So all those little things, you're looking nice, things like that, the compliments, the communication, being gentle in how you talk to each other, and also little gifts, they really matter. That in itself is foreplay. Can I say foreplay?
Yes, you can, girl.
You
can say whatever you want.
6 play.
Okay, because you say don't go too deep.
No, you can. No, That's fine.
Okay.
That's 6.
Okay. 6 is inviting.
Yes, I know, right?
Yeah. So there are a lot of little things that when men do for us, is foreplay for us.
Yeah.
Men, it's easy. They are sexual beings.
Yeah.
They can switch a second before.
Yeah.
But for us, it takes some time. And even after we switch into it, it can take a second for us to switch
Get
off
out
it.
of the mood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
a good
something
point.
that they do not understand.
And that's
sometimes.
what the devil also tries to
Yes,
do.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find that, okay, you're all planning, okay, we'll get it on, and
you
then
have
a
like
bill
a silly
comes.
argument or
Yes, something that you don't even understand. But at that time, it's heated.
Yeah.
Then maybe when you separate, you're like, what was that
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
We were supposed to have sex.
Yeah.
Good
And this just
sex.
got
I
messed
planned
up.
for this. Lingerie.
Yeah.
Yes.
The whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel good communication and being intentional about everything that you do leading to the point of sex, and also understanding that sex itself is not an end to it. Orgasm and then that's it.
Yeah.
That's why the Bible says they were both naked and were not ashamed.
Yeah.
That's the other part that creates intimacy. It's not the during, it's also the after.
Yeah.
You know?
The pillow talk,
Yes,
the cuddling.
it's different from those who are not married, because chances are most of them are not living together. After that, they'll have to dress up and go where they have to. But for
Oh my
you,
gosh, that's such a good point.
yes, it is deep, so deep, such that even after you're still.
Yeah.
So that's what God intended, for it to create that bond where you're naked, you even start talking about finances and then get into the mood again. And so it's an ongoing kind of bond.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's so good.
It's not an end.
So to that point, you mentioned the different types of intimacy: communication, financial intimacy, giving gifts, paying attention to the love languages and all that stuff.
Date nights too.
Yes, all those good things. Tell us about some of the tips, like practical. I want us to get as practical as can be here.
Yes.
Some of the tips that you give your pre-married couples so that they can maintain these things when they're married, and some of the tips you give couples that maybe are struggling in this area and come to you for help. What are like practical, easy to do, as in someone watching this video can implement it today.
Okay.
Yeah, to just enhance their sexual intimacy by changing a few things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, change your environment. Yes. Sometimes we feel so stuck. Well, I don't know, but for me, sometimes when I feel so stuck about things, I look around and I know I need a change in something. It could be curtains, it could be the paint, it could be that. So you change your environment. In this case,
In the
it's bedroom
Yeah.
where the sex normally happens,
Yeah.
especially if you're a family.
Yeah.
You can talk of the kitchen, but
If the kids are
yeah, but the bedroom, change the environment. And also for us ladies, it can be how you feel about yourself. Yeah, is it the body? You can change that too.
Yeah.
Is it the what you wear? Which clothes don't you feel sexy in? You declutter. And then there are a lot of advertisements these days, Facebook, everywhere, people selling lingerie, people selling like something that will make you feel good, because if you feel good about yourself, it's going to show, it's going to give you a good sex environment with your husband. Or else it's that you would do it out of duty. For me, I feel like sex should be enjoyed by both. Yes. You would do it out of duty, and you find yourself wanting to hide a boob, hide your tummy, you know, that that kind of thing. Yes. So I feel like with that mindset, sex, which was designed by God to be enjoyed, will not be fulfilled as such. It'll be like, oh, okay, maybe he's complained too much, let me just do it. No. So change environment, change how you feel about yourself, and also communicate with your partner the things that you're feeling, because sometimes it could be in your head, and there is no one on earth that can make you feel good about yourself than the person you chose to be with for the rest of your life. I can be at work and people make me feel bad, but if I go home and my husband's, what are they talking about?
Right?
You know, it's going to change how I look at things. I'll keep my head high. I'll be like, he doesn't feel like that. But that also, the danger is lack of honesty. So if
I look good in this, you do.
So you really need to explain to them how you appreciate them being honest. Of course, it can hurt, but if it's something that you need to change, your partner should be able to tell you. Yeah. Then also, I do not, reading books helps, but please, I do not advise people to go into porn. Because you know what that is. We are dealing with people who have drugged themselves. And then you'll be thinking, why did they go 1 hour? Why did they go 2 hours? And all we're doing is 40. We have 20 minutes to get to 1 hour. And then he couldn't, you see. So no. Books, yes. Counselors, yes. Friends who you can trust, who probably you've shared maybe the same, I can say, kind of like if they were feeling bad about themselves, and then you're like, oh, let me find out how they dealt with it. But those who you really can trust. Not those who will feel good that you're So it also goes with praying, and the Holy Spirit will lead you to people who should actually help you with a solution. Okay, so I've talked about what couples who are already married can do. Now, for those who've come for premarital counseling, they're of course not married. I can talk about communication still. For those who haven't had sex, it's probably difficult, especially if they abstain for a long time. We've had experiences where they still have that thing in their mind.
Don't do it.
It's like, how do I start? How do I? So that is a struggle in itself. For that one, I can say, other than communication, well, lubricant will help. Please, they should buy lubricant.
You heard the lady.
Yes, get lubricant.
Yes,
it's going to help. And then after, when you pass that point, communication, because you need to know how you're faring. And remember, they were
feedback.
both naked and not ashamed. Yes, so you need to communicate how you fared, how your partner prefers, what they prefer, and how they prefer what they Okay, so on the lubricant part, you need to take into account that the premarital counseling relating to sex happens at the end of the other kinds of counseling, financial and all. So we're preparing them for the wedding night. So that lubricant I spoke about should be bought around the end and kept until the wedding night. Please.
Please, folks.
Don't use it.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Don't use it until the wedding night. Okay, so the tips you shared mainly talked about women, things like lingerie, body image, and all that stuff. What practical things can men do? Because I think sometimes, because they're always ready to go, for lack of a better way to put it, they forget that their friend is not like that. So what can they do to help them win in that area? Like, we want you to win, men. We want you not to strike out. We want you to do stuff that will actually get you that passionate night with your wife, right? So what are like 2-3 things that a guy can just have in his back pocket to just do these things consistently, and you'll be good?
Compliment the body. Because the body is what he's going to need to use to do whatever it is. And for the lady to do to the body what needs to be done, she should feel that, okay, he appreciates the body. I don't think for a husband who body shames or can get from the woman's body what he expects of it.
Yeah.
So if you compliment the body, nurture the body, like, okay, I got this for you. I want you to look good for me. I want you to, and I like the way, I like your hips. I like your, because if someone says they like my hips, I'm going to show them out there.
Yes.
But if I don't hear anything, it will be like, oh, I don't know.
These wide hips, these big hips.
Yes. And also during the sexual encounter, for those who are married, communication, saying that he likes what is happening and things like that. So I think for us ladies, we like it when we hear things. And for men, they like it when they see things. So if they see something and they like it, they should be able to say it so that we also like what we hear.
Right.
Yes. And also just them understanding that we are beings that it takes longer for us to get into the sex mode. And for me, I actually feel like that's something that should actually assure them that it's not easy for us to cheat. You know? Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I mean, I've been, but you don't seem in the mood, you know. So he should know what gets you into the mood, and the fact that it takes longer should not make him impatient. It should make him appreciate you more, because it should show him like, okay, if it's like this with me, who she's free with. Then probably
Some
out there it can be.
it
cannot. And I feel like it really can happen for most with a random stranger. So complimenting the body for me is number one.
Awesome.
Yes.
I think that's very practical and easily applicable.
Yes.
Okay, so you alluded to the issue of pornography. And I want to go back to our last episode where we talked about sexual purity and the moral standard, right? So how do you guys, when you're doing the counseling, and even us and people watching that are married, keep that sexual purity and moral standard still alive and still number one priority? Because it's almost like the thought is, stay sexually pure before marriage, and once you're married, anything goes. And by anything, I'm talking about things like the use of pornography, whether as a couple, because some couples are like, oh, we'll watch it together, it will turn us on. And most couples have the issue of the man using, pornography, especially if maybe the wife just had a baby, or she's not in the mood, or they're going through something. So rather than deal with the issue so that they can get back to that bond, it's easier for him to just say, well, I won't invest in working on things because I'll just do this. And then now we have issues of, swinging and three-ways. And it's just all this stuff that the devil tries to just bring in to disturb what God intended, So take us through how you talk to the couples that maybe are a week away from their wedding about such things, how they can safeguard against such things, and then also talk about the married couple that maybe didn't have you, a wonderful, premarital counselor like you.
I didn't have me.
Exactly. Most of us didn't have you. And they didn't know. They didn't know any better, and maybe they fell for some of these things and they realize that it's doing damage in their relationship and they want help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they come, of course, you emphasize or stress on their need to have come, and which is evidence that they are ready for the marriage. So we tell them to honor their spouses or future spouses with their bodies and in everything they do, wherever they go. Marriage is a heart you wear for life. So whether at work, you're married. That means that you need to watch how you talk to the people that you talk to. Yes.
This thing of wife.
Yes.
Work wife,
like
work
a
husband.
community that they create. Husband, what? And then the next thing, people are all touching. So if you wear your marital status everywhere, it's really going to help you. Because truth be told, we're human. We need to understand that. And if you wear your marital status everywhere and at all times, even when your wife just had a baby, things like pornography shouldn't be an issue. Of course, we have people who are into it like deep, but it's because there was always a starting point. So the secret is wearing your marital status everywhere and at all times. It really, really helps. Yes.
What about the couple that maybe brought in pornography or swinging in their marriage, hoping that it will spice things up, and then realized on the other side of it that it didn't? It just became this big monster that's now trying to eat up their marriage, destroy their marriage. What would you say to a couple like that find themselves in that position, and how can they get out of it? What hope do they have?
So in case there's somebody wondering what swinging is, swinging
swinging from a tree, what are we talking about?
Having sex on a swing, no, it's actually exchanging partners. Yes, this partner goes to the other partner and this one goes to the other one, just so that they can experience newness in sex or whatever that means. Yes. So, and then there's pornography, which people know what it is. So there's always hope. There's always hope. In our counseling sessions, we always say there's always hope for change. Most of it, if they're in too deep, would have to require more counseling. Yes, more counseling concerning that. But even with prayer, and like I said, wearing your marital status at all times will help you avoid doing those things. But if you are into them, you'll need a lot of prayer and encouragement to come out of it.
And renewing the mind.
Yes, definitely. Mindset is number one. Mindset is cardinal in this.
Okay. Guys. So one last thing before we close this session. We talked about, maybe if your wife had a baby and things like that. And I think this is a topic that is rarely spoken about, even in premarital classes and courses and counseling that, people avail themselves to. And that's the issue of low libido, right? And the fact that women, it changes over the years, and maybe birth control can affect that. And your diet can affect that. Having babies can affect that. And first of all, knowing what that is, being able to recognize that as a woman, if you can give tips that women can use to recognize that this might be an issue, that is not just you don't like your husband anymore, it's a chemical thing happening in your body, and what can you do? And then also for the husbands, like, what would you say to husbands who have a wife that maybe is going through something like that? How can they handle it? What tips can they also have, or tools that they can have to deal and navigate with those changes as and when they come?
Okay. I'll start with the husband, because I feel like most of the things that the husband would do during that time will help ease, I can't say curb totally, but will ease this issue of low libido. It's unfortunate that men don't get so much counseling before.
No, they don't.
None at all, actually, before the actual marriage. Otherwise, if they did, they would be told that there are seasons, there are seasons where this is concerned. In as much as they are sexual beings, the person they need to have sex with won't always be in that mode, because there could be house chores, there could be challenges at work, there could be so many things, because other than being what we need to be in a home, there are certain things we need to fulfill out there. It could be work, business, and then not only that, family. When they say a man shall leave his father and mother, I feel like that's literally, but for of course they still remain family people, but for us there's that motherliness that we still need to, there's a lot of checking up we need to do, because we also adopt his family as our own.
So now you have two sides you have to be checking up on.
Yes. You'll find that probably he'll make one phone call to a family member. And when you're chatting, he'll be like, oh, I called your aunt, I called your sister, I called your... So in all that, in you having to do all that, you also had your own things to do. And then there is pregnancy, there is the baby, there is your body not being the same anymore. So it's those things that men need to be told. And then when they are told those things, it will be easy to understand. It will be easy for him to find the house not as clean as it was like a year ago.
Before the baby.
Yes, before the baby, and understand. And it will be as easy as him finding a meal, but the dishes are undone, and being like, oh, at least and like him being like, you've changed and you've... So with that, if we get support through that, the issue of low libido, I can't say it won't be there, but it will be eased. Yes. It will be eased. Of course, the sex will be there. It may be different, not like it used to be, rabbit kind, but it will be there. So through that, ladies need a lot of support. But also, the issue is to know your body. When you know your body, you will know when something is amiss. Yes.
So what are some tips that you can give us ladies to know our bodies more? What are some things we can look out for as a sign that maybe something is off? And it could be that maybe you haven't yet had a baby, but maybe you changed your birth control. You know what I mean? And you're thinking, it's no big deal. But then you've had this shift, because those are hormonal things that you are taking in, you know? So what are some practical things that you can tell us ladies of how we can be more aware of our bodies and more in control of what's happening in our bodies?
Okay, so first of all, fatigue, where you never used to have it. And doing a lot of things, maybe just to do them because they need to be done, like without joy or without, for example, sex itself. Not like where you wake up today, I'm gonna have sex. Like you're not excited to do the things you used to do, but you're still doing them anyway as routine. That is also an indicator. Then there's probably your sleeping pattern changing. Maybe lack of sleep, or just wanting to be in bed even when you're not sleepy. Those are signs that the body is, maybe because of change, I can say it's slowly getting a little depressed, because it's different from how it used to be. So we should not, fatigue is normal, but let's not take it for granted. Of course, you can maybe give yourself a good 3 weeks, because 3 weeks is habitual. When something happens for 3 weeks, you know that, okay, probably it's yes. So you give yourself that. And also menstrual cycle, change in the menstrual cycle can say a lot of things about
what's happening in your body
to you. Yes.
Wow, those are such good practical tips.
Yes.
Ish. Thank you so much again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure everybody who's watching this is like, I need her in my life. Like, what? Yeah.
Also, can I say something?
Yes, please.
For the ladies, things like a combination of turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, it's really going to help you with those fatigue issues and all. And it will keep your hormones balanced. So have it in your... Yes. Making tea with them.
Okay.
Put them in your diet. It will really help.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you for
coming. Just been so open.
Yes.
So open and just sharing, you know, what God has allowed you to learn in this role as a marriage counselor. I don't take it for granted, the work that you're doing. I know it's like on the side with all this other stuff, but man, I can just imagine how God is using you, you know, to transform people's thoughts surrounding sex and surrounding just marriage in general. So I'm so grateful that you came and just even if it's a few minutes,
Yeah.
just give us some of that taste of having a counselor like you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, for thinking about me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why would I not? Why would I not? I'm sure those watching, this has been very insightful. I hope you've gleaned one or two things. I hope you had your notepad out. I hope you watch this with your spouse. If you're not married, I hope you watch last week's episode and even this episode with your friends and have conversations around this. Like, okay, guys, as singles, how can we hold each other accountable to this thing? And even as we begin to get married, how can we hold each other accountable to prioritizing our sex life as an important part of our marriage? So again, like I said last week, sexual intimacy is a fight because the devil is out to cause confusion, whether it's before you get married or after you get married. He's out to just bring disruption. And so you taking a stand and saying, no, I'm going to enjoy this the way God made it, and I'm going to rely on his grace in this area. It's a fight, and that fight, that opportunity that we have to take that stance is a very, very, very important and significant privilege, because you are worth the fight. Your sex life, your marriage, your future, the legacy you leave for your kids is definitely worth the fight.